Well, in Spain.
Madrid.
Madrid.
Based in Madrid, yeah.
Yeah, I lived for a while in Madrid.
Really?
Yeah, for about 2 years. 2 years. I had an apartment on Jorge Juan.
Oh, really?
You know, it's the one behind Serrano.
Yeah, I know. I know the place. Beautiful. Yeah.
I loved it. In the 60s I was there.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody was in Madrid in those days.
It was like kind of the place to be, right?
Yes. London and Madrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Plummer, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
My first question would be, what keeps you in the loop? What's the passion in acting for you today?
Well, I think it's a fascinating job. I think it's one of the most fascinating. Particularly if you play different people all the time. And also you see the world. You're paid to see the world, which is fantastic because you don't have to pay. So you not only learn about other countries that you visit or live in, you are doing the job that you love. It's a hobby, and it's also a job.
How many scripts do you get to read? Do you find it difficult to find a role for you?
No, because I'm conceited enough to think that I can play several different kinds of roles. And if the role is interesting but not particularly inviting, I'll take it because then I'll try to make it better than it is.
What kind of directors do you like? How do you like them to behave with you on the set?
Well, they've always been marvelous with me. I've been very lucky. Once or twice I've had somebody who is not particularly competent, and then you have to be very careful. You have to be polite and then do it yourself and not listen to. But for the most part, I've worked with some pretty great directors, wonderful, from John Huston right on up the galley, and they always treat me very well because I come from the theater, and they have a respect for the theater. More than, it's funny, more than another motion picture actor, they're different with me because I had a lifetime in the theater.
So coming from the theater, you should love rehearsals. I don't know if you rehearse so much.
No, I don't, not for screen, no. For the theater, of course, you have to. But for screen, no, I think you rehearse too much, it becomes technical, mechanical. It's better sometimes to just throw yourself in front of a camera and be surprised.
Do you still go to the movies?
Well, I see them at home really more than and sometimes if I find a small little cinema, there's one near our home, which has a wonderful audience of real cognoscenti. Then I'll go, but to go to a big movie house when you listen to that popcorn, and they all talk now. They talk. Can't hear the screen.
And the phones, right?
Or the phones. It's just awful. So I prefer to see them at home.
I'm asking this because next year, 2015, filmmaking is going to be 120 years old. It's about 14th century. What do you think we are headed to? How are we watching films in the future?
That's an interesting question. I know that I think that people will get perhaps tired of the big blockbusters with with all the phony people instead of the real people. I think that soon it will invent itself out of the business. And then they'll always come back to a sort of independent kind of features that really have something to think about and talk about and show life as it really is, or it could be. I think people are sort of longing to find that, and there's a much bigger audience now that I think will be a little bit more, will appreciate the deeper qualities of filmmaking than they are now.
Do you like looking back at your career, or you prefer not to?
I mean, I wrote my autobiography, which is not really me. It's everybody else's biography that I knew all my life. So that I've done it. I've done it in a book.
But some actors say they don't like watching themselves.
I'm not crazy about it. I only watch sometimes when I'm making film if I'm in doubt and I need to look and make sure that I'm on the right track. Then once I've done that, I don't look at myself again. I'll come and see the movie once, but not twice, no.
What do you think about the preparation of young actors? Do you think they are well prepared now? They are better prepared than when you started?
No, they were better prepared when I started because the theater was an essential part of their lives because there was no television when I started. And television then became very young in those days. So kids were either making movies or doing the theater or both. And the theater is so important for young people to go into it. I mean, you can become a star without having a theater experience, but you won't last that long. The theater is an enduring discipline, but if you enter it, it's like a life insurance policy. You are protected. You've protected yourself. You've earned your spurs because of the stage.
How do you relate to younger actors you're working with?
Well, in this case, the FORGER, Ty Sheridan is just a remarkable talent. Absolutely a wonderful kid. You believe him implicitly. He's so convincing. And I think he has a huge future. He's a perfect example of the modern day child actor who can move us to tears. He's absolutely wonderful. So real. And of course, there's another young juvenile called John Travolta, who's maybe 19 years old. I don't know how old he is, but I've been a fan of his for a long time. He's so fantastically convincing, and you know that you can trust him, you believe him in anything he does.
Where do you see that star quality material in young people? Where do you see it?
Well, you see, I saw it right away when I saw Mud, for example, with Matthew McConaughey and Ty, carried the movie. It was marvelous.
How long? I'm curious about how you scheme your life. I mean, how many films do you plan to do in a year? How do you manage your?
Well, I don't know. Because I go back to the theater. I have my one-man show that I do, and I can do that in New York. Next year I'll do it in New York, I think. And so I plan around the theater. And, could be 3 films a year. This year it's 5 or 6, and it goes on forever. But it's nice. It keeps me young.
Right. Yeah. It's like a loop. I mean, it's like. My next question is about Hollywood. Everyone is talking about Hollywood like this big monster that devours everything. How has Hollywood treated you? How has it been to you?
It's perfectly lovable. I knew Hollywood in various stages of its life. I knew it in the 50s when I first came out there. I knew it in the 60s when I lived in London and made films there. I've seen Hollywood under the studio system, and I've seen it under its present state. And there's always something to fight about in Hollywood, but it's been good to me, I think. And I don't know, because we shoot films everywhere in the world. We don't just go to Hollywood to shoot films.
My last question would be, of course, about Spain. How do you recall?
I adored Spain. I did the Fall of the Roman Empire in Spain, and also The Royal Hunt of the Sun. And I've done 2 or 3 other films. I loved it. I lived there in the 60s briefly. I adored it. I adored the rhythm of life. I loved the corrida. We used to go every Sunday to Madrid to see the bullfights. Miguelin and God, everybody. I can't remember them all. There was one that was terrible. He always killed the bull. He had to jam that sword in. What was he? He was famous. He was No, because Cordobés was flashy, and he was a circus performer. No, Caracol. El Caracol. The audience loved to boo him. He would come on, they go, because he took so long to kill the bull. Oh my God.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see you.